So, hello to you, Ali. That seems like a very interesting background you have. Is it a home, a hotel? Do you work there?
Well, I am in student accom. I've moved
Oh.
out of usual uni accom this year, and I'm in more of a private accommodation, but it's still a student environment nevertheless.
Hmm. Okay, so you're studying. What are you studying and where?
I'm studying molecular bioengineering at
Mm.
Imperial College London.
Imperial College London, a very prestigious university. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And what made you decide to study your course?
So I come from a very particular background. So my family has a bunch of doctors in it. My mom's a doctor, bunch of my families are doctors. However, the people who aren't doctors, they're businessmen and they didn't care about school, worked on their own stuff. That's the mindset that I resonate more with. And I never really thought about wasting like 6, 7, 8 years of my life in school to then start a career. And I decided to go somewhere in the middle because I do appreciate what the health sector has to offer, not only in terms of business opportunities, but also in terms of actually serving the world. I decided to
Hmm.
find some sort of middle in between them.
Interesting. So, considering what you're doing, what led you to the real world?
Obviously, Andrew Tate's content has blown up over the past year or two. He has, been in everybody's faces. At the beginning, when I started listening to him, he was talking about Hustlers University. I actually joined that before coming on to the real world, and at the beginning, I dismissed it like every other person. But the more I actually listened and actually opened up my mind, I actually was like, hey, there might be something to what these people inside this group are doing. Everybody's still joining. Everybody's staying on their membership month after month, even though he's getting canceled off every single platform to date. And really, what got me is like, hey, this dude's banned everywhere, but there are over 100,000 people in this place paying every month. I want in. I didn't think there
Mhm.
was much of a debate there.
Right. And what did you get into after joining the real world?
So roughly around the time that I joined the real world, maybe a couple months prior to that, I decided to experiment with coding and I decided to learn programming. If it fit well with my uni, I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try. I found some liking with web development. So I'm like, hey, stuff on the web, it's always useful, always needed. Let me develop that. But then when I joined the real world and I was like, freelancing sounds good. I'm not much into the other stuff that was provided. Let me actually stick to this. I already have a skill that I'm developing. And then the real world actually was like it helped me put my mind in a frame where I'm like, hey, this is not something that you have to go to top tech, have to go to a company to work for them. Why not, instead of wasting that time reviewing for interviews that honestly you don't care about and your employer doesn't care about, instead take that time and work on yourself and develop your ability to sell your services. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
How has that progressed for you?
It's been a rocky road, honestly, because it's like a gap that you have to jump across. It's like jumping into the unknown. There's no structure, obviously. Companies feel safe because it's very ladder based. It's very progressive, but jumping out into the unknown, it feels kind of scary. But I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you just jump in and don't look back, and that's exactly how it's felt. I think that I've gone up like an exponential ramp, not only in terms of my skills but also in terms of the way I feel and the way I'm able to communicate to people that I have no connection to whatsoever.
Hmm. Great, great to hear. So, what was it like acquiring your first client for? Was it web development then, or something else to do with coding?
It was web development. So I made my first client an e-commerce store. It was a custom based. We used Stripe. I can nerd down on the details all day, but ultimately, how I found this client was uh, so we're in a uni. Everybody knows each other. We talk to each other. A bunch of groups. I tell them, hey, I can do this. Hey, I can do that. I got my word around, and ultimately, I think it comes down to word of mouth, but more importantly, in the way that I'm able to actually back up my talk. I'm able to do this, and here's the proof for it. You know.
Mhm. Right. And how much have you earned, and in what time span doing web development
My
freelancing?
first client was 5 weeks ago, and over that time span, I've made 1,500 euros since then.
Okay. Very cool. So instead of going out working a student job, like I don't know, part time, something random, you're actually learning a skill, web development, coding, and making good use of it and getting clients for it.
Yeah, honestly, part-time job, student job never really resonated with me. I tried it out. I'll be real with you. I quit within 2 days. Not my thing, honestly.
Mhm. Right. And this is something that can scale for you as well, web development. So where do you see it going in future?
So I've partnered with a business partner and a friend as well. That's more of an acquaintance, really. And we've planned it out together. We're taking stuff seriously. We're networking at events. We are currently redefining what our brand is. We're working with professionals in the field, and we've set ourselves a 90-day game plan. And hopefully, today's May 15th. By the end of or midway, so say 30 to 45 days from now, it should be, if everything goes to plan, at 3,000 euro a month.
Okay, cool. And that's pretty much a full time income at that point from a regular job you get out of uni. So very interesting.
And what's even crazier about that is I have to compare that to where I'm originally from. I'm originally from Morocco. The minimum salary there is 2,000 Moroccan dirham. That's 200 euro, maybe 300 with now they've increased salaries and stuff. If you put that into perspective, that's like what a decent uh, uh, old engineer with experience, with a reputation inside the field, that's what they would be making.
But yeah,
And I'm making it
what
in
you're
what, a
making in a
couple
month.
months?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. So how different is your average day now compared to before you joined the real world?
So definitely in terms of how serious I take things, and by things I really mean my life. Before I'm learning coding, yeah, it doesn't matter if I skip a day today. I'll just watch Netflix. I'm kind of tired. The gym isn't that serious, who cares? But now, like with the resources that I have available to me, with the community that's around me, I'm like, yo, there's so much more to life. There's so much that can be done, and we need to do it now. I have this sense of urgency that I didn't have before, and which overall like kind of makes me like sometimes I deep end. I'm like, hey, am I taking it too seriously? And all it takes is one press of a button onto the real world app. I go and I see what other people are doing. My mindset has changed. We're tunnel vision. We're focused.
Hmm. Very cool. So a bit more into how has the community within the real world had an impact on you? And on that same note, has the Wins channel influenced you in any way?
Yeah, definitely the community and the Winch channel have had impacts on me. I think that I briefly touched upon this point before. I think that it brought me this idea that it's much more accessible than I thought. Making money online is not this fad, it's not this scam, it's not just someone trying to get me to buy something. It's very much more accessible and it's very doable. Like, let's be frank, if I were to look at myself maybe 6 months ago and see myself now and be like, who are you to be doing this? Turns out it's very much possible. Apart from being very accessible, it's also that I'm realizing that I'm able to charge way more than I previously think. So I think many freelancers specifically, they're like, hey, I don't have many clients, I'm just starting out. I'm a nobody. I'm just a 19-year-old in school, out of school, who knows? Why would somebody pay me thousands of dollars to do something? Turns out, yes, you can. And yes, they will. There's a lot of money going around. A lot of people can pay you for a whole lot of stuff that you couldn't have even thought about. So leave your shyness or whatever you want to call it at the door and just get to it. And probably the third thing would be, as I said, yeah, the me feeling way more professional in not only the way that I lead my life, but also the way that I talk to people that I don't necessarily know. So I would be prospecting with new clients, networking with new people. Previous to the real world, I was probably like, shy. It's probably, I guess, a self-described introvert. I don't really like talking. It's not that I'd get scared. It's just not my thing. But now, like, I guess uh, speaking to other people, being more professional actually in the way that you speak. It's not just, hey, you're trying to be buddies. It's like, yo, I lead my life a certain way, and you seem like you lead your life a certain way. We're both going on the same path. Let's help each other. It turns out that's much more accessible than what was previously envisioned by me.
Very cool. So let's say your web development business scales while until you graduate. What do you plan on doing then? Are you still going to work a 9 to 5 relating to your degree, or are you just going to scale the web development? Or do you not really know yet?
So I've actually thought about this. My goal is to, as you said, grow my web development to a significant amount by the time that I graduate. I've got a couple of years ahead of me. By that time, I'm in a position where I don't really have to chase my degree. However, as I touched upon before, I chose my degree for specific reasons, not specifically for the 9 to 5 aspect of it. I think I made a good choice for that. And I think that this gives me the whole web development thing that I'm doing. This gives me experience in how to run my own thing. So, coming out of school, it would definitely be my number one goal to create a business within what my field teaches. So, within bioengineering, and that might not be immediately accessible to me, not in terms of funds, but more in terms of experience. So if I need to take a 9 to 5 purely for the sake of learning how stuff goes, then I might, but then quit it a year later because I don't need the money at that point.
Okay, very fair. So, and back into web development again, what would you say was the biggest challenge you faced when first starting out or when trying to implement lessons from the freelancing campus?
I think it was getting across this mental barrier. That's like, hey, who really am I to be charging $1,000 for this? Who am I? Like, I'm just a random person behind a screen typing a couple stuff together, putting it all in a nice way, and then shipping it off to clients. It's really that mental block because when the clients will start feeling that you doubt yourself, they'll downplay you as well. They'll start lowballing you. They'll start not caring about you. Frankly, that's just disrespect if you really think about it. And it was really that part that was the hardest. It's not really the web development. Anybody can learn it. The lessons within the real world does an amazing job at making it essentially accessible to anybody, even if you have half a brain. Honestly, you should be able to get what's in there. They make it super straightforward. Just listen to what they're doing and apply it.
Okay, cool. Nice pitch. And what would you say have been the 3 biggest lessons you've learned from your time within the real world?
So specific to freelancing, right? Is, as I touched upon before, it's the whole aspect of charging more. So in the freelancing campus, we learned that it's a way better use of your time to stop wasting yourself with low end gigs with clients who don't really care, low value clients, and just low value work altogether. To stop wasting your time with that, and instead just directly jump into big boy land and start charging high prices and work with actually high value clients. That's probably a mindset change that I have. Honestly, I'm really thankful for having that exposed to me because previous to that, I'm like, hey, I'm starting out. I should work with people that don't really matter. I should get paid measly amounts, all that sort of stuff. And that mindset change, and just me being told that, hey, this is accessible to you. You should be making good money. You should be working with big people that have an audience that the type of people that you see on social media and you look up to. You should be working with them. And I think that's one big lesson. Another one would be to actually structure your offer correctly. And even though what I'm doing is technically a service, the idea is to structure it as a product and put it in a package, put it in an irresistible package that the clients, they have no other choice but to buy your offer because it makes the most sense, it brings them the most value. And that whole idea of packaging up a service as a product, that's definitely another big lesson that I've learned.
And with what you just said, is that relating to Alex Hormozy, or was that purely through freelancing that you learned that?
I did not listen much to Alex Hormozy before joining the real world, but now that you mention it, there are some parallels between the two because I first got introduced to that idea in the freelancing campus. However, after then jumping and listening on to his podcasts, among the like billions of dollars honestly worth of value that he does provide for free, that's definitely one of those things.
Okay, very cool. So I know I asked a similar question earlier. I'm wondering if there's more to go into. Where do you see your life ending in, let's say, 6 months to 1 year? Or feel free to give a different time frame if you prefer.
Well, let's just I'm gonna take it step by step. I'm gonna take it
Mhm.
like shorter time frame and then keep on going. So shorter time frame would be a couple months, 4 to 5. Say by the time that I come back to school next year, next school year, that would be roughly September-ish. By that time, I've got a couple things that I'm working on, a couple projects that I'm working on, not specific to web design, but along the same lines. And I believe in the idea of a game plan. I believe in setting high goals for yourself and actually planning out, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing this week. This is what I'm going to be doing next week, next month, the month after that, up until say maximum 6 month period. Because after then, it kind of the variables get out of control. But up until then, you should exactly know what you should be doing. And from here on till then, I have planned out what my businesses should look like and how I'm going to achieve that. With that being said, I would love to come back to you in say 6 months' time and actually give you an update. But we should be doing 10K a month. We should
Mhm.
very conservatively, very
Cool.
excessively, and after that it only scales up because as I kind of touched upon before, by the end of my time in school, which gives me roughly about 2 more years, I should be within a position in which jobs don't really matter to me. I have these businesses that I'm taking care of, or rather, they're taking care of me financially, and jobs don't really mean anything to me. By that point, as I said, I would be working purely for the sake of learning experience or purely for the sake of networking or getting myself out there or whatever other reason apart from finances. And from then, it's just an upward mountain to climb. Every day there's new goals.
All right. Cool. So let me know when things do scale more, and we'll get you on for a follow up to document the progress. In let's say 3 months or so, that would be a good time frame to do a catch up. And a few more questions left. One being, what would you have to say for what kind of an impact maybe Tate has had on you personally, if any?
Where do I begin, honestly? Uh, well, let's get a funny point out of let's get it out first. I really thought chess was a weird game that I never really gave any importance to. It turns out it's pretty fun. I recommend people
Mhm.
to try it out. It's kind of brutal. Hey, you lose a game, it's on you. You made a mistake. It's not luck. I used to play poker a lot. Poker, gosh, sure, you have bad luck, bad beats, whatever. But chess is kind of it's more brutal that way. You're if you made a mistake, if you lose, completely on you. It's not your opponent. You didn't get lucky. None of that. But in terms of actual serious lessons, though, I would say it's mainly the sense of urgency that I previously mentioned. In terms of you're not supposed to build yourself up tomorrow or later, next week. It's actually, hey, we're supposed to be working now, right now, no excuses whatsoever. We're supposed to get to it, and then tomorrow we're going to be doing the same exact thing, and the day after that, the same exact thing. Just keep hammering at that same goal. That it seems like it's just me waffling. It seems like it's every single other self-development or self-help book. Everyone repeats the same ideas, but when you put it into context and you really apply it and you see what it's able to get a man from, You see Tate, for example, right? The man has accomplished so much in his life, and I think he's very special in a way that no one can really pick at him. Usually, the idea we have of rich people is that they're lazy and that they don't do anything else in their life. Turns out you can't say the same thing about him. People like to say that fighters only focus on fighting. The dude has been a fighter, has all these other things available to him in his life. Most fighters are poor as hell. He's been a fighter. He might have been poorer at some point in time in his life, but look at him now. He has a sort of complete view on life, and I think I can extend that to masculinity as well. And that makes him such a powerful role model for a lot of young guys out there. Who honestly, we have a bunch of role models out there, but I don't think there is anyone as complete and as holistic as Tate. And I'll be honest with you, I, I take that with a lot of gratefulness. I'm grateful to have had him as a sort of role model because I'll be honest with you, I have changed as a person as well. Not only in the sense of urgency, but in the way that I view masculinity as well, in the way that I think about the world around me, and simply in the way that I hold and carry myself with other people. It's crazy.
Yeah. What you're saying is competence in every realm of human endeavor, as Tate says.
Yep. Couldn't
Yeah.
have said it better myself.
And what do your friends in uni think about either you being in the real world, if you told them, or your views on Tate?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think it's a mixed bag. London's a very mixed city. There's a lot of different viewpoints. So on one end, the people that I tend to resonate with, they agree with me. You know, Most of them aren't in the real world as well, but they agree with me. They don't. They see Tate in roughly the same light that I do. They are pushed by the same values that I hold. They take care of themselves, not only financially but physically as well. And I think they roughly hold the same viewpoints that people should hold. However, there's the other cohort that's much more vocal, which is kind of funny, and much more likely to just blame anything and everything on somebody else. Just cannot be themselves. I tend to distance myself away from those people. Unfortunately, uni is uni, so you have to see faces that you don't necessarily want to see. Be grouped up with people that you don't necessarily want to be around. But let's be honest with ourselves. That's how life is. You're going to be with people that you don't agree with. You're going to be with people that you might think are dumb. And gotta deal with them.
Yeah, I was interested in terms of university, how the dynamic is there. So thank you for the insight. And now for my final question. For people who are still unsure about joining the real world, maybe they're thinking it's a scam for the $50 a month, what advice would you have to them?
I would definitely tell them, look, I was in your spot. Every single other influencer out there has a course. Every single other influencer has, hey, join my Discord, do this, do that, you'll make money. Frankly speaking, you have to admit that there's one big difference behind all of those other groups and this group. It's the fact that it's long standing and that there's so many different people that are in there month after month. The proof is undeniable. You cannot come up with a single counter argument to that. And more importantly to that, all the other influencers, they make one, two, I don't know, maybe 10 videos of them flexing some money with one or two rented Lambos in the background in the same rented villa. They use those videos across the entire year. It's the same background. I don't think anybody can make any reasonable arguments to say that Tate does anything remotely similar to that. That would be flat out lying, especially lying to yourself, which many of us are guilty of doing so. If you actually take the truth for what it is and you actually deep what this guy has to offer and you compare that to what other people are getting out of it, there's not just me, there's probably thousands of people out there who have similar experiences as me in the real world. They've changed their life for the better. And I'm just the tip of the iceberg, honestly. There are guys that are doing crazy amounts within the first month. Props to them. They're doing amazing. I love to see other brothers grow. if you take all that to consideration and you really sit there in a dark room and think to yourself, can I really think of anything to hate this dude with? The answer is no. If you do anything apart from join, you're honestly lying to yourself.
All right, great point. So thank you for all the insights again, Ollie. And
Welcome.
if people are interested in finding out more about you or contacting you, where can they do so?
Well, as I previously mentioned, we run a web design agency. It's called Interna Solutions. You can find me on Instagram with the same handle, Interna Solutions, all one word. You can find our website, same thing, internasolutions.com. I'd love to hear from you guys, not only with anything to do with web development, but just reach out. Be amazing.
I'll add that to the description of the video. And Ali, as I said before, look forward to that follow-up interview in 3 months or so to see how
Of
everything will
course,
go for you. Because with your mindset, with everything, I'm sure you will be doing very well in the future. So
that's the goal.
until then, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.